Hello, everyone, and wake up to welcome, not wake up. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants Radio. That's what we're doing. We want you to wake up too. Here, happy Father's Day, everyone. See, I'm all flustered. It's Father's Day, and I wanted to remember to say Happy Father's Day, and here we are. All right, my friends, we're going to jump right into our centering, and then I'm going to introduce all of our special guests here today. So I'm going to ask everyone to sit up nice and straight and tall, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths, breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. I show up today as a leader and as a student. I show up in a place of calm. I show up in humility. I find my words today. I show up in a place of knowing and being. I am centered. I am here to make a difference in 100 million lives, but I'm also here to speak to just one person today who needs to hear what I have to say and share. I hope to make a difference in that one person's life. Nick?
I'm here to be present in this conversation. I feel like it's relevant to my life, and in that might create relevance in other people's lives. So I will be fully present today.
Thank you. Ryan?
I am showing up powerfully with positive energy and excitement to learn from our guests today and from other giants, and be able to be inspired and directed so that I might be able to show up in the lives of 100 million giants.
Thank you. Aashi?
I am most certainly here to pass off as much support, positive energy, and brilliance as I possibly can. If I could even just change one person's life or way of thinking today, I would be thrilled.
Awesome. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 21 of Wake Up with Giants Radio. I'm so excited to have all of these incredible giants in the studio with me today. We have Nick the Gentle Giant, Ryan the Lion, and our special guest co-host, Aashi Mital. And our topic today is how to get your life back. Ashi's she's gonna open up Pandora's box and just give us the keys today. I'm so excited to hear what Aashi has to say. Welcome, everyone. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Ryan sounds so thrilled. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're so thrilled today, Ryan. All right. I'm going to say happy Father's Day out there to all of our listeners and our viewers. And I'm going to roll us right over to Aashi to get us started. Hello, Aashi.
I feel so honored. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm very
Thanks, Nicole.
excited. Oh my goodness. And yes, happy Father's Day, Dad. I know you're probably going to be watching this on delay, but I love you. Happy Father's Day.
Every day is Father's Day, right?
It is. Every day is. I'm a daddy's girl, and we talk. He's literally one of my best friends. So if I do not call him or we don't talk for a couple of days, he's like, call me now. I miss you. Just FaceTime me right now. I'm like, okay, let me pull off to the side of the road, Dad. He'll be like, where are you? I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? FaceTime you while I was driving? I mean, you could do that, but you've warned me against such things. Please do not do that. It was not serious. Please, everybody out there, PSA.
Right?
Do not do that.
PSA.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh, Pandora's box. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
If you don't open it, I'm going to. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh. I don't even think it's something that needs to be opened. I think it's, this is my train of thought on this, and this might sound a little hippy dippy, guru-y, zen-y to people out there, but I'm a really firm believer in that you're already there. When we talk about showing up to the game, we talk about finding who you are. You already are it. When we talk about energy, it's not just in you. It's not just you being immersed in it. It is you, right? And when I talk about this concept of this energy, you're already there. You're already in it. You just show up to play. It's about flipping that switch and, being the star that you are and just playing about in the universe. And people always have trouble with flipping that switch. All right. So when we talk about getting your life back, okay, we're not talking about something crazy happening. Sometimes we have those crazy situations. Other times it's about the concept of control and heading to where you want to be. Are you where you want to be? Are you on that path and getting to where you want to be? And it always starts up here. What does that look like for you, right? We talk about, giving yourself permission to dream. When did that stop, right? When did we have to give ourselves permission to start dreaming again? Where did it go? Was it the pragmatic? Was it the whole, well, that's not really realistic, or the word no enters on the scene, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, there goes that idea to be the first burrito-loving dinosaur in outer space who goes on archaeological digs on the weekend, right, to find long-lost ancestors. And it's, okay, well, it's 9 to 5. It's, okay, what makes the most money? What box are you in? What container are you in? Oh, Hugh, I love that comment. That was a beautiful comment about the box.
I was going to say that
right?
my dreams died about the time that I realized that gravity was real, that I wasn't Michael Jordan, that my vertical leap was about 4.5 inches.
Oh my
That you don't have
gosh.
sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Like a T-Rex.
I don't know. We could get you a Michael Jordan jersey. I actually do some work with their foundation, so maybe we can get the big guy out here and maybe you can teach you something.
There you go.
Just maybe we can work on that.
Revive my dreams.
Right, but that's just what it is, though. Like, and not every dream you have may wish to be pursued, but it starts up here in your mind, right? The visualization, and then bring it to verbalization. Okay, so with my clients as a bottom line coach, there's 15 of us in the world. We work with all kinds of amazing people. Okay, and it's about taking those shallow sips, those baby steps. You're not going to be swallowing that bullet right away, I promise. And some people, we bite the bullet and we swallow hard and we go, go, go. But you move at your own pace. But for all it's worth, it's literally all for naught if you're not doing something that's meaningful and you're not taking what's up here and factoring it in where you can make it happen. All right. So dreaming about it, creating those ideas, visualizing, writing it out, but then verbalizing. Okay. Even if you're putting, and this is something that my clients do where they literally make these lists. Okay, they bring the dream out. Sure, you can use your vision boards, your dream boards. You can just have a written list. You're seeing it every single day, affirmation, and then you start verbalizing it, because then it becomes something your brain is going to carnivorize. Okay, so we live in the world where we visualize in visuals first and imagery first, right? Exactly. Visualization, bring it to verbalization, and then fruition, right? VVF. Exactly. Beautiful. Oh, you're so on it. I love this audience. You're totally on it. I love it.
That's good.
And
the creation of intellectual. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so essentially what we're talking about is making it happen, but it doesn't stop there, because now comes the pragmatic. We've gone from having your dreams to visualization to verbalization. Now we bring it to fruition. How do we get you there? And in Get Your Life Back, we've got a series of steps that cover everything, once again, from the vision to the talents, to the financials, to, you keep going. But we talk about a number of things in that first phase that I think are critical, where we're talking about you being extremely honest with yourself, but also determining who your support and who your community is. All right. People used to laugh at me all the time when I said, look, I plan on being retired before I'm 45 from this space. Now, raise your hand. And I'm looking at the three of you. Okay, as I say this, raise your hand if you've ever said something to someone and they give you a look like you slapped them across the face with a cement bucket or 2x4. And then you either start laughing at you and wondering what you're smoking or what you're under the influence of.
Pretty much everything that comes out of my mouth.
Yes, and those are the
They
people you never tell those things to ever again. Those are the people you can't tell your dreams to, because they're just going to stomp on them or laugh in your face.
Well, they wonder what I'm smoking as I take a puff.
Yeah, I have like my cute little bubble pipe, right?
Yeah,
like bubbles out my pipe.
I'm going to carry a bubble pipe from now on. That's actually a good idea.
It's good. I mean, let me tell you something. It was part of my Sherlock Holmes costume. I was inspired by an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yes, I come from those sides of the tracks. People, bring it on. And Data was sitting and investigating this mystery on the Enterprise, and he was investigating Sherlock Holmes as his hero. And he had this bubble pipe, and he was dressed up, and it was
remember
just
that
really cute. He had
episode.
the hat and the coat, and I was
Huh.
like, I want to do this for Halloween. I dressed up like Sherlock Holmes. And then I got my dad found me the bubble pipe. So I still have that bubble pipe. And yes, I still use it. I'll walk around the house as I'm walking and thinking, yes, this is one of my visualization exercises.
it.
I'm clamping down on this pipe. And I've even got a little stopper, like, too. So, yeah.
I've got all that.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aashi, can I take you back a little bit? Can you hang on to
Yeah,
what
by
you're
all
going to go
means,
to?
please.
But you
Go.
talked about the switch, and I've been looking into significantly the idea of dissociation, multiple personalities, the idea of alters. I think in a lot of cases, we all have it within us to dissociate and be one character in one situation and another character in another situation. And then when you mentioned the challenge being the switch from one of those characters to the other is where we have conflict, is we already have within us this ability, like you mentioned, but then switching from a low-level character to a high-level character within ourselves. Can you talk about that? I mean, does that bring up some ideas?
Oh gosh, it resonates like you wouldn't believe. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody goes through this journey. Trust me, this wonderful boat you're in, I'm first oarsman. Okay, and Nick's the captain. All right.
Yeah, perfect.
So
I'm
we've
yelling at
all
everybody.
yeah.
I'm in a little dinghy.
We're right
Yeah.
there.
Bring it up
But
to
we're
rear.
all
Being keel hauled.
we're totally
Yeah.
right. I can just imagine Melissa just like screaming, like in Crew, like the direction, like she does, like
Yeah.
screaming like at the top of her
She's
lungs.
up in
I'm
the
like,
tower.
Melissa,
I see
Really?
everything. Yeah.
right? And I mean, you're definitely all on this journey. But here's the thing: one, okay, we all have different. We have multiple personalities. It does not make you crazy or weird, and you don't need to be waiting outside for the beautiful men with the butterfly nets and the great exotic accents to come pick you up and take you away in the black van. Okay, so we have different personas. We connect with people in different ways. But I know, right? Like, whoosh. But what it's about, it always goes back to your self-belief, okay, your confidence, your self-esteem, but also you knowing, okay, what you want to do. All right. And I love what Hugh's saying about reacting versus responding, right? Reaction versus response.
Mhm.
But you need to know how to respond, right? And in knowing who you are. I mean, I have this conversation all the time. I just had this conversation yesterday, and I'll be having it again with one of my closest friends in the world, where yes, Ryan, yes, beautiful. Where we're talking about
I love your
having
awareness, by the way. You're like you're seeing all these things pop
Yeah,
up.
she's
and
like
you're
right
still
there.
keeping
on
your train of
everything.
thought.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like pulling it all back in.
I'm still on
Right,
bubble pipes.
Right. You know what, Ryan? I'll give you a website. They actually have a bubble gum but later for another time. You and I
okay.
will connect about that. But
Sorry, keep going. I apologize.
you just have to believe that you belong in those rooms. And I hate
Mm.
saying this, and I see it every day in my line of work where people just bring me into a room. I mean, they will literally pay me $100,000+ to come into a meeting to read what is going on. And then they'll close those doors and they'll say, "What did you get?" I'm like, "What, should I get the Swami hat?" And they're like, "No, Aashi, like bring them back to the facts, that hybrid." And
Yeah.
I
Do you
said, "Look,
really
just
say that?
know
Because
who
that would be
has it."
amazing. I would
Yes,
I would
I
die.
actually
That would be
do.
so funny.
I actually
Yes.
do. I really do. I'm like, are we going to the train station? Should I bring the crystal ball? And maybe I can determine who's going to win the Super Bowl. Although I've done that 3 years in a row. My husband.
I just
thought
want to
that
be a
was really
fly on
weird.
the wall in one of Ashi's meetings.
Mm-hmm.
We're in our meetings, Melissa.
She's like,
We're
"Wait,
in
you
it.
are?
What
What
are
are
you?
you talking about?
You're not even a fly. You're like
You don't have to
in
be a
it.
fly. You
No,
can be
I mean-
Melissa.
I mean, some of like the
Melissa's like-
higher powered meetings. Yes, I'm in some of them.
I'll tell
yeah.
Haley you said that. I'll tell
Oh.
Haley. I'll pass that along.
No,
Yeah, you're
don't
gonna
tell
get
Haley
it. You're in
that.
so
No,
much
no, no.
trouble.
I know. Now
You're
I'm
in
in
so
trouble
much
with
trouble.
Haley. Goodness.
Yeah, like
Don't
Don't
seriously,
worry, this
she'll
is
be
all
like,
recorded and live.
and I'll make sure she gets a link. 'Cause she
She'll
always
never
says,
see it.
Thank you.
Duh.
Haley, I love you.
"Are you buying this?" Like,
Yeah.
Haley, I love you more. No, just kidding. I'll share. We can work out a timeshare with Melissa and Haley. My Haley, my Melissa, branded in like a second. Part of my goddess crew here. But the truth of the matter is that you have to believe that you belong in those rooms. And you see people who have it and don't have it. And the people who don't have it, a lot of people just automatically write them off. And for me, I'm like, no, bring this train back to the platform. What's going on there? Because generally speaking, it always relates back to self-confidence. But you know where that comes from, Nick? It comes back from the lack of awareness. And they don't know who they are. And they don't know what they want to do. Or they've never taken the time to figure that out. And they're like, Aashi, this is so big. So if I want to go from doing this over here and I want to come up over here, like, well, what is this? What does this look like? For Haley, our girlfriend, like, she's like doing this whole like rainbow storm where she's, using me as the light of the rainbow to bring everybody's brilliance together, right? For me, what that looks like is I am literally your guiding light for you to be proud of where you come from. Tell your story, be proud of your history, your lineage, your tradition, and how do I keep you moving forward and building you as to what you want to be and being proud of that carrying forth. I am the purity, the light, the love, and guiding you to where you want to be. I manifest that in everything I do. But you need to really have that solid understanding. Take it one step at a time. What are you good at? What is meaningful to you? Where do you want to be? And everybody knows, like if I were to ask Ryan, hey, look, give me a random dream. No pressure. Tell me something. Tell me one of your dreams. If it's involving making burritos or what? Like what, I'm on the burrito bandwagon. Yeah. I don't know. Mexican sounds really good to me, but keep going.
Yeah. And it always sounds good to me. So that's really on the top of my dream and vision board. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Dreams, I'd like to be, quickly is like in 100 million giants around the world, a global network of giants working together in various aspects to help each other and support each other in becoming our best self.
Okay, Melissa, give me one. It could be anything, big, small, whatever it is.
I would like to make a difference in the lives of children all around the world. I want every child to know that they are loved exactly who they are. That's what I want to do.
Nick?
Well, I'm going to take a tangible. Since everybody's going broad, I'm going to bring mine back in. I want to be in Puerto Vallarta at the end of the year on a beach.
Oh, very gosh. Very good. Okay. Yeah. So really random, about to expose myself in a million ways. I have a lot of really random dreams, including I want to be on the floor of a Coca-Cola factory filling those glass bottles. I want to be a janitor at NASA. I mean, people are like, where are these things coming from?
Yeah, but the janitor at NASA gets to go like in every room and clean it up and see what's going on.
I had to explain that one to people.
How I want to be a janitor at NASA.
It's so funny.
Like, wow.
It's like we just reached in the toy box and we all pulled out our toy and we're like, oh, I didn't know that.
It's not as cool as your toy. I want your toy now.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's weird and it's so funny because I know. Right. And I was talking to some people, really random segue. I was talking to some people about this. I verbalized it, right? I told them I wanted to do this. And a friend of mine, who's one of my father's former students, who happens to be the director of the Aeronautical University at NASA out in California, he's like, we can make that happen. Like, you've got clearance already. So if you want to like be a janitor, like we can actually do that. Like, would this be like a government filled position? Like, would this be temporary? Would you be interning? Yes, they have people who intern, for the clerks division of cleaning at NASA. Yes, they have interns and people laugh about that. But if you stop and think about it, it makes sense. Anyways, my point is though, if I had not said that and I was too scared of people laughing a riot at me, I never would have gotten that opportunity. You have to be in such belief of what you want to do and where you want to go. And with that magic sauce, yes, Ryan, big magic, where you are confident and capable and you feel like you're going to get laughed out of the room. Well, let me tell you something. If somebody starts doing that, let's get you some new friends. Let's get you a new theory of five. Let's get you a first class circle. I mean, I talk to people about, yeah.
It's always laughing. I told him, I told him all my dreams, my aspirations, and half of them he laughed at.
We didn't even have to have that conversation. This was easy.
See, very easy. And that's how it should be. Okay. Like I always say, it should flow. Melissa, you've been hearing me talk a lot about this. People in what I like to call my first class circle, it vibes, it jives. we fit really well. It's like I'm your yin to my yang. Where one look, like Melissa, I can give you one look, like let's talk about last night. Like she knows what's coming. Like it's like an hour and a half conversation that just took place right there, where she gets a call from me at like 2:00 in the
She
morning.
just started blushing and sweating bullets, so I don't know what's coming out.
Yeah, right.
Okay, no,
Conversation
let's put this in
after.
perspective for our listeners. I was not with Aashi last night. I was home.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Please let me be clear. She was
Yes,
home.
I was
She
home.
was in bed. I was calling.
Yes.
I'm just amazed at the efficiency. Like you had an hour and a half conversation in a
Yeah,
look.
we
Like I need to
did,
know your
in a look.
secrets.
And I was home watching
She
a
knows
movie
names.
with
She
my
already knows
boyfriend.
names. She already knows names. She's already like,
Yeah.
Let's start communicating in looks, Nick, and we'll be
You
like
ready?
super efficient.
okay, well, Ryan,
Yes.
we could play that game like, Nick, what am I thinking? Right. But but once again, making sure, and this is the biggest point, all right. When you're talking about these dreams, and some of my clients feel like they have to hide it, especially my women, my female entrepreneurs, the ones who want to be entrepreneurs, the ones who are being told, look, you're 46 years old. What are you thinking? Starting your own business. You've got 2 kids in college and you've got a mortgage. It's almost paid off. Like that's literally what their spouses or partners would be saying, or their parents are saying. And it's such a different conversation when it's a stranger, right? Like these conversations, like, okay, well, you don't know me, I don't know you. And how many billions of people are there in the world? Like, see ya, like bye. Which part didn't you get, the or the bye? Like, it doesn't matter. But when it's in your circle and it's your community, I found that that's a really big obstacle of what you have to just bust through and persevere through in flipping that switch, right? Once again, taking it up there, because it always starts with, what do you see the obstacles being? How do you deal with them? How do you work in them? But then also, once again, creating and curating your environment. Everything is a choice. You choose who you hang out with. You choose who you don't hang out with. You choose how you spend your time and have those conversations. You choose your attitude, the glass is half full kind of thing. But for me, it's not even just about those choices. How you flip that switch, yes, it starts up here, but you've got to do, guys, all right? You've got to take the action steps. So yeah, maybe it's starting off with a simple list of writing names down of who you want and just connecting with them, saying, let's go out and have a drink. Let's have a Zoom chat. This is what I want to talk to you about. Soundboard ideas. Don't be afraid to talk about that. And once again, it's about creating this space where we're meeting you where you are on your journey, right? That's what it's all about. And you're around other people who are in that same space where we're suspending judgment, assumption. We are digging deep and, quite frankly, believing in what you're doing.
So there's some things that you kind of went through fairly quickly, but I caught them.
Yeah.
And some people at home might not be able to make that connection quickly. But so Steve Hardison does this, and you just said this when you were talking about being a janitor at NASA, right? There's a lot of times where people will put that in their head. They'll have this dream or this vision, and I can see that right clearly in my head. Being a janitor at NASA, how cool it'd be to have like a ring of keys where you can go into every room. You open it up and, the door opens up. It's like,
They use brightness.
You see
now, Brian, no keys.
Yeah. Like I see.
And you're dressed like sterile.
Yeah, but I mean,
No keys.
I'm thinking that in the museum style, like this is my vision.
Even in
Okay. So
museums,
I'm seeing like looping through each key. Nope.
I was
Use
what
AI
came to me
now.
was, wait a minute, NASA, and they still have a million keys? What's going on here?
It happens.
Very old school. This is clearly
very old school vision and dream. But here's the thing that if you wouldn't have said something to somebody, that dream never, like, somebody just gave you the opportunity, said, hey, I can make that happen. You opened up your mouth and you spoke it and you told people about it. Now the next step in that is to take action towards it and to make it and to make that actual reality. But that could be passed up very, very quickly and I caught that. A lot of people would just be like, oh, that was just funny that somebody might have had an opportunity there.
Are you serious?
No. Like you spoke it and whammo.
Okay, so I have an example. My daughters and I watched Sharknado last night, of all movies. They wanted to watch Sharknado. Somebody funded that movie. somebody said, I've got this idea for a movie with a tornado full of sharks that eat people on land. This is amazing. You're going to love it. Well, Tara Reid says, yeah, I'm in. Okay, maybe she's desperate to be in that show. But then they make another one and another one and another, and they get even bigger actors to come in and cameo. And it's like, holy crap, dude, this thing, which I think is a terrible movie, got funded in the first place, $2 million.
You watched it.
I did watch it, and I watched the second one. And then
it was so terrible that he went back for more.
Oh my gosh, it's like the zombie movies, like the Night of the Dead or whatever. It's like, how did that dream? That was somebody's dream. It's like you being a janitor. Theirs was a tornado full of sharks, and it still got funded. It still was successful, and it's like it's because they put it out there and they went after it.
Here's the other thing behind that too, Nick, that's interesting, and maybe you guys can speak to the big magic behind this stuff too, but you might have that dream. Somebody else had the dream of making a movie of a tornado with sharks in it. You're thinking about it, trying to get all the details and get the script perfect and going through this stuff. And the universe comes along and says, you're moving too damn slow. And somebody else over here, Steven Spielberg, I don't know who created that thing. That was probably a knock on Steven Spielberg, because it was not a Steven Spielberg movie, I don't think. But he goes, you know what would be cool? A shark video with tornado, picks them up, eats people. It might not be exactly identical to what you were thinking of, but the universe finds another way for that to be created.
I look at Ashi's face right now. Her mouth. She's
I'm
like,
laughing.
She's like, you guys are high. You were smoking the bubble pipe.
Dude, seriously, somebody sold their soul for that franchise to make that happen. I'm a firm believer of that. But I do get the point that you're making, though, Ryan. But I'm just, absolutely. I'm always stunned when people actually.
So where I'm going with that, though, is that was somebody's dream, and as ridiculous of a dream as that might seem to some of us, it wasn't for them, and they went after it and they created it, and it started getting traction and it evolved, and it got better and better. It's not that it ever got better. It's just like the quality increased, and it's because they were out there doing it. And I think a lot of times, like what Ryan's hitting on, is that we want it to be so perfect. We spend all of our time planning and never getting into the learning part, which is actually getting out there and implementing. Because there's a ton of learning that comes from that implementation.
In I said big magic because that's not just something that Ryan made up. It's a real book by the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And Nick and I were texting this a little bit earlier this week, but Elizabeth Gilbert. Yeah, we talk about Eat, Pray, Love a lot, But she talked about how she had this idea for a book, and it was in the Amazon, and it was about a highway construction project, and had all these different characters and things like that. It wasn't like this popular genre. It was a very specific book title and book genre. She had this other author, and I can't remember the author's name. I could look it up, but the author, she idolized this person. She had the opportunity to meet this author at a panel, at a forum, and they were on this panel talking. And afterwards, she went up and just hugged her, and the lady's like, whoa, 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 whoa. But they started talking and made this. She just said, I love you. I love you. I love you. This is so amazing. I'm so excited to meet you. And then they started this friendship and connection. They started talking over the years about different projects that they had worked on and things that they were doing. And the other author said to her, I'm working on this book about the Amazon. And she's like, oh, that's interesting. I had started a project about a book on the Amazon. They start talking a little bit more. Some time goes by. She says, oh, you were going to tell me about your project on the Amazon too. Tell me what yours was, Elizabeth. She tells her exactly what it was about, and the lady goes silent. It was the exact same storyline minus the construction. It was some other little event other than the highway construction project, but it was the same exact story. And creation found a way, because Elizabeth Gilbert put it off, to come through this other author. And this other author did it, and New York Times best-selling type, book, and the other author had the opportunity but passed it up. But I see that in, as Ashi's talking about creation, and that's why I said, like, man, you have this vision, this goal, this dream, you speak it and tell people about it. If family and friends and other people are laughing at you, it's maybe time to get some other friends, and then to keep speaking it and to go out and do it and
Right.
let creation flow. And can you speak to more of that, Ashi?
Oh
And
gosh, absolutely. What I like to call the
I figured
flow
you could.
state. But I will, of course, but I will just say one thing, and I tell this to people and anybody who will listen to me, the crazy lady ranting this in the street. Um, Stop letting your potential go to waste because you don't feel comfortable or you're not ready. You'll never feel ready. And while you're sitting there having that problem, people with half your talent and a third of your potential are making serious waves while you're just hanging out. So just,
Mhm.
think about that. But
I'm going to interject too, and tell you how uncomfortable Ashi is talking about, and it resonates with me when she said that. I met Ashi in a mastermind, and in a mastermind group that I was brought into, and felt comfortable in that group and felt on par with everyone. And Ashi brought me into a meeting with Haley. We were talking about Haley earlier, and I'll tell you that sometimes I sit in those meetings with Ashi and Haley, and I think, oh my God, I have no idea what they're talking about. Pay attention, because you have some learning to do. Honestly, I sit there sometimes and think I don't belong in this meeting. I know I do. I know I do belong, but sometimes the subject matter is so above my head that I sit there and think I don't belong in this meeting. Ashi's brought me in. Don't let her down. Don't let her down. And I talk myself through that. So Ashi really means it when she says, go be uncomfortable and sit in those things. And I'm learning that from Ashi right now every day. And she's mentoring me through that. And I know that there's a lot of listeners out there and viewers that aren't sitting in meetings of this caliber. They're sitting in other meetings and they're looking at doing other things that might be small, but they feel that giant. And you start somewhere, and our feelings of inadequacy and the feelings of fear are going to be the same no matter what caliber we're starting at. It's just about starting and sitting in and feeling through it.
And I'm going to tap and piggyback on that. Melissa, such kind words. I appreciate it. Thank you. I love you very much. She's like one of my best soulmates ever. But I will say, I love the fact that people are talking about this container and this box. Be gone. Okay. There is no container. There is no box. There is no glass ceiling. All right. Before the haters come start stalking me and sending the death threats, we created those things. So the purpose of Get Your Life Back, when my partner and I started this brand, and it just came from this crazy story. Some of you have heard it, but basically, a male colleague of ours came and he's like, what did we do? What did we do as men to make women feel like this, where they had to sell the store, not be who they are? What have we done as a society with people where we can't let them come to the table as we are? Launched everything. Okay. But it goes back to, once again, that creative space, and we call that the flow state. All right. And yeah, Wonder Woman's mine, Deb's strong as an Amazon, even though I'm technically part of the Crow Nation now, but one of many pure firsts. But that creative flow state, right? I'll talk about that one, is when you're in the zone. Okay. You've got the creative juices going. You've got the joyous and abundant factors. You're the most innovative, creative that you've ever been. And what the trick is staying in that flow state. But what people don't see is the other side of that. All right. So we're talking about the fear and scarcity mindset to that of joy and abundance and love. All right. So that balance there. So going from one to the positive, the other. The other side of that is what I like to call the rainbow storm, where everything's happening and everything's so amazing and everything's clicking and everything's aligning and we're doing this over here and that over there. And I've gotten 45 minutes of sleep and we're like freaking constantly in the flow state. Like Haley and I, like Melissa can absolutely attest to this. Melissa's been there too, where for 1 hour, it's like, dude, we're in it. And people come out of it and they've told me, Aashi, like that was such a high. I'm so exhausted. And I'm like, yeah, well, take a break. But we're going into the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. We are constantly there in that flow state. And it Yes, right. It had, I mean, and when you're in it and people are figuring out how to maintain that, they're trying to figure out how to extend that flow state. They're trying to figure out how to stay in that state all the time and then just let exhaustion just hit you. And it's different for everything. Okay. Like you've got to be your own hype person. Okay. Do not rely on other people. It's your energy mixing with theirs. It's your ideation. It's your creativity. It's the ebbs, it's the flow, but getting in that creative space. Dude, you've got to do what relaxes you. You've got to be doing what's meaningful to you. I mean, even if it's picking up trash off the side of a highway, volunteering at a no-kill cat shelter, whatever it is that's meaningful to you. But also going back to the dreams concept, all right? Like the Coca-Cola factory thing, yes, I've made progress on this, all right, truth be told, because I said, you know what, I've been talking about this for years now. And COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench into the plans. But literally, do whatever works. If it's THC, if it's
A toke with
alcohol,
a toke.
If
toke with a
it's
toke.
Yes.
You're right. Like whatever gets you there, whatever takes the edge off, as I like to call it. Like, some younger generational verbiage for y'all, spiraling and I'm on the verge.
I want to hit on that. Yeah, I want to bring that up a little bit, because the darkness is where we struggle. When we're feeling positive, we're not over here saying, well, how do I shift this back so I can feel negative again? We're not ever like, how do I turn that around?
Right.
It's
and it's hard to stay neutral.
Yeah, so that space of down energy, we'll call it anxiety, depression, sadness, loss, grief, all those lower level energies, right? They're not negative, they're just lower level. And so when we get in that space, and you've also got this other side, that's the rainbow side, the rainbow storm, right? You got the shit storm to the rainbow storm. You keep that out. But there's this ability to shift from one to the other. And so getting into that other space, like you're saying, there's some things you can do. For me, it's serving people. If I can get in and have a conversation with somebody, my energy shifts immediately. Like I can serve somebody in a conversation and coach them. Man, I turn around. It coaches me. If I can go out, and even food will do that. If I can go out and just enjoy some food and be present with that, it'll turn me around to where I go back into that flow state. And so it's giving grace to, I have the power, like He-Man or She-Ra, it's like I have the power already within me, but it's calling it forward and doing things that call it forward. Like the no-kill shelter or whatever it is that brings you from one space to the other. It's almost like a bridge, right? We can.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, I'm sitting here keeping it PG, right? And here we are. The expletives are coming out.
Right. Aashi, don't pretend like you're offended. You're okay.
Please. Melissa knows all.
Yeah.
She's like, you could teach some sailors some new ones.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the bridge, because getting your life back, the life back that we're talking about is that rainbow storm side where everything's really flowing. So that's kind of what I hear when you say get your life back. And so talking about the bridge that takes you from that negative side or that low energy side to the positive, can we talk about some of the things that would transition a person over?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first of all, guys, I've been there. All right. What many people don't know is that every entrepreneur goes through a journey. All right. Each journey is different, but it is ruthless. It is real. It is raw, and it will lay your soul bare. And if you cannot cross that, you will never get to that bridge. Okay. You have to face yourself every day. The universe rewards those who show up every day. So consistency is key in that bridge and that divide. That's one. Okay. Number two. Yes. And I love that comment about every single day reaching the full potential. I'm oftentimes told by a very well-known mentor of mine who shall remain anonymous, but he tells me, look, how much of yesterday do you hold on to coming into today? I said, not very much, because I don't hit the reset button, but I do hit the reset button. So consistency is key. in that positive space, we always talk about, okay, what could we be doing? All right. Time is not refundable. We lose money,
Mm.
we make money, we cannot get our time back, guys. So when you're thinking about how you're best using your time every single day, I'll throw this out there. This is a little tidbit from me to you.
Lean in.
Here's my 21-day challenge. Here's my 21 days microphone and the 21
We're
21-day
leaning
challenge
in
is really
close. We want to
simple.
hear this nugget.
All right. So what I want you to do is find a space. It could be a nook in your kitchen. It could be a space in your closet. These are true stories. I have people go out to their cars and do this. They literally, it's a space of their own. Well, they will not be disturbed by technology, furry babies, human babies, nothing. It's just you and yourself. Best company, right? You create the space, play the part of interior decorator, set up the space where it is going to be full of things that inspire you, motivate you, make you feel calm. Let's not deal with the anxiety. It's just about you and yourself and your own mind, right? And then what I want you to do is just hang around in silence for 5 minutes. The average American watches more than 6.5 hours of television every day. All right. I think you can sit in silence for 5 minutes. Now, I've had people who've had to work up to that 5-minute mark. If that's what you've got to do it. But after 5 minutes, I want you to literally draw, not write words, but draw what was in your head, the visuals. Put them down on paper so if somebody were to even look through it, they can see these visuals, right, of what these goals are. Then I want you to write out what these goals are, okay, what the visualizations are, okay? And do not spend more than 10 to 15 minutes. I know some people who get up to an hour, but at the beginning, after just sitting still, they can only do 10 to 15 minutes. All right, but that's the bare minimum. All right, then after that, you literally close it up, you put it away, you go about your business. All right, but you do this for 21 days. But here's the thing, after day 1, you go back and review all of what I like to call your dreamcations, all right, or your dream visualizations. And after 21 days, I want to see where you're at, because then it's going back to verbalizing it. And after day number 7, and there's a reason behind this, there's actual science behind this, guys. Starting on day number 8, you start verbalizing every single thing that you've done and written about in those visualizations. So on day 8, you'll be verbalizing 1 through 7. Day 9, verbalizing 1 through 8, right? And you'll notice that your mind gets in that place where, we're talking about mental fitness here, that positive intelligence quotient. We're not talking, we talk about physical fitness. We talk about dietary fitness. We talk about, emotional fitness, but we don't talk about mental fitness nearly enough, to handle environmental change, to handle the dreams that you thought you walked away, to handle these next bigger steps of, oh, wow, I'm going into the bigger leagues. Well, that's half the fun, joining the bigger leagues. Trust me, I know it. I love it. But once again, you have to move at your own pace. But this is a really good way to kick the door down. And it'll help you get into that mental state and that flow state every single day, so you can start having a feel for what's meaningful for you. What are the triggers? And using that in a positive sense. Triggering yourself to opportunities in the universe, triggering yourself to those thoughts. And when you're having a bad day, we all have bad days. We all have bad moments. We all have things, don't look for straight arrows in life, because life doesn't work that way. When these things happen, then you go back to the visualizations, celebrate your quick wins, and also have that quick list of quick wins. I have people who do that, whether they're in a 9 to 5, whether they're engineers, whether they're waitresses on roller skates, for real, true story. I've got clients of mine who are Brink Unicorn CEOs, and they said, the quick wins, we've got to move that needle. But what are the quick wins for you? We don't always talk about the business side. We talk about what's going on with them as leaders, as high-end performers, as those who've got to show up. No matter what is going on here, or in their heart, they've got to be on point. How do you do that? What is that positive space that you go to? So create a positive, safe space, this cloud of abundance, of joy. Don't do this when you're stressed. Don't do it when you're hungry. Seriously, I had someone who wanted to open up a food truck that was literally just about mac and cheese. And for like 3 days, they said, I was hungry. I was sitting and doing this in this place and I was hungry. And then they started talking about mac and cheese for like an hour in their journal. So, food for thought.
Okay, so I have a thought around this. As you're talking about this, one of my favorite people in the world is Mandelbrot, Benoit Mandelbrot, who created an equation that, when repeated, creates complexity. It's a simple equation, but repeated creates complexity. And there's all this artwork that you can look up online about Mandelbrot. But what I hear in what you're describing is that there's simple steps. You're talking 5 minutes a day over 21 days repeated creates complexity in your life in a positive way. What I know about humans is we look for agreement in our environment, not the truth. We look for agreement with our perceptions. So if we start looking for negativity in our world, we're going to find it everywhere we look, because that's what we're looking for. And so when you start to list your wins and you're starting to look for your wins, you're going to start to see more wins in your world. And you talk about time being non-refundable. You know, the word moment means a minute and a half. So when we say, oh, I'm having a moment, and it's 2 hours in, you're not having a moment anymore. You're having a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So at any point, we can turn our energy around and start to pay attention to other things and do these simple things that you're talking about. Go put ourselves into a space where we can start to remember our wins and put ourselves where we remember how valuable we are. And then it shifts us in an instant where we're starting to look for those positivities in the world. Like with science, I was listening to a podcast this morning. The thing with science is they are constantly trying to disprove their hypotheses. And whereas others, what we try and do is we're always trying to prove our theories and hypotheses. And so that's the distinction there, is look at what you hold as a truth. And in some cases, you might want to go in and really disprove that that's a truth, especially if it's a negative. So I just think that simplicity and complexity, it's simple steps repeated.
Right. And I need to say this too. There's a difference between complicated and complex, right? That's one. But two, I always will say, and people on this call have heard me say this a couple of times in our experiences, if you're looking for ghosts, you will find, whether it's Casper the Friendly Ghost or you thinking that lamp that's covered up by a sheet is coming after you from the darkness. Yep. But you cannot let yourself, people call them mind games. And I'm like, no, it's a shift in mentality in that mental paradigm. It's like, conversation, I'll be vulnerable here. Melissa knows that lately I've been doing a lot of introspection for people in that first class circle. You have to constantly do that. Do they fill your cup? Vice versa. Are they the people you want in your environment? And I always say, look, and this is something else a good friend of mine said just on Friday. He said, look, I'm looking for a good friend, but that's not something you look for. It comes to you. And I'm like, look, I'm going to be your resource. I'm going to be your champion. I'm going to be in your corner no matter what is happening. And hopefully you'll be there too. And obviously he will be. We'll find out if that changes. Once again, constant evaluation. People, Ryan and Nick maybe want to size each other up and see and check out the blending of the waters and see where that's going. But once again, you decide how you make this, right? You decide what those dots say. Is it a cute teddy bear? Is it a heart? Is it an axe? Like what is it? Is it the letter, or the word no? But you choose that. And, we talk about this a lot in the entrepreneurial space, where we talk about, well, we don't live for the weekends. And I say, absolutely, I don't live for the weekends. I live for every day that ends in Y. So my schedule is very different than other people's schedule. So on Thursday, we can be out until 4:00 in the morning, playing darts, talking about random things. And then on Saturday, just like last night, while everybody else is out enjoying their Saturday and their weekend, I'm out busting it and slaying until 9 p.m., battle planning, working on projects in 4 different time zones. And then I go out and have fun. But once again, the point here is do not live for certain things, okay? Like where you're playing leapfrog or hopscotch. You feel, well, I'm living to have this conversation with this person today. It's what is the big goal, right? What is the overarching thing that you're going after? So when I'm sitting here having conversations with Melissa or Haley or Anthony or Martin, it's like, these are huge things that are happening. That's the big goal. We're just moving this forward. And by the way, you're not going to get it right the first time. Stop looking for it to be smooth as silk, because there will be slip ups, there will be hiccups. It's about how you show up and how you lead yourself through this, and give yourself a break. Cut yourself some slack. Things will go wrong. Okay. As somebody who is a consultant, but also a doctor of organizational health worldwide, it's my job, and hopefully we're all over 18 listening to this, it's my job to fulfill your needs and to foresee your needs. Okay. And even though I foresee your needs, there's still stuff coming from outside of Pluto headed your way that we didn't even see coming. And with the stuff that we do see coming, stuff still goes wrong. So cut yourself all kinds of slack. Practice makes progress, and progress makes perfect.
Deb's Deb is speaking my language. How do you know if it's a dad's joke when it's apparent?
Oh my gosh.
That's my kind of joke, Deb. Thank you.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Just don't bring out the puns and we'll be okay. There's no such thing as a good pun.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. I'm thinking of, getting your life. The idea of we all have these characters that we're going to show up in, that we have the ability to be really down and negative with ourselves, and we have the ability to shine like the sun, and it's all within there. It's already in there. And so it's that transitioning from one to the other that's up to us. And having tools to be able to do that is going to be a key in getting your life back, meaning that life that you're talking about, that rainbow storm, right? Is going to be your ability to navigate from one state of mind to another. Like, are you showing up consistently as the person that's in the unicorn storm or the rainbow storm? I like unicorn storm. We'll do that. Raining unicorns. Are you in a unicorn tornado? That should be the next movie right there.
Oh gosh, don't give people ideas, Nick.
Yeah,
please don't give them that idea.
Don't take away my dreams. No, it's beautiful.
I'm the dream builder or whatever.
Yeah, I'm a dream builder. I'll give you ideas. The ability to stay consistent in that creative side is where we're really trying to get to. Is that there's a lot of creation that occurs in that space, whereas on the negative side, there's not. There's a lot of sucking in and closing off and boxing in and shutting down, and there's not much creation in that. There's more of a destruction. There's two words that come to mind: abracadabra, we talked about, Ryan brought up. The other is avaracadabra, which is to destroy. One is to create and the other is to destroy. And we're always speaking one or the other. And so to really look at, what are you speaking into the world? When you talk about verbalizing, what are you creating as you verbalize into the world? Are you creating destruction or are you creating creation?
Yeah, and I love that you said that too. I'm gonna let me jump in there first, because I want to highlight too. Sure. I love that Nick said that, and I would like to point out to our listeners and our viewers that it's not just active creation of positive or destruction, but also sitting back and doing nothing. When we sit back and do nothing and we don't stay consistent, we're also in destruction. We're also right. Yes.
Idle
sitting
hands.
back and sitting back and not moving forward. And I'm guilty myself. I've done it before. I've been like, oh, this is really working out. Oh my goodness, this is really going. What's going to happen? Oh my goodness, it's good. It's finally happening. Oh my God, I'm scared to death. And then you sit back and you do nothing, and it destroys everything that you're there, all the momentum that you have going forward. So you can be in that creation, in that negative creation, just by doing nothing.
Yeah. And I always say it's the biggest state of vulnerability, idle hands. But another thing I want to say twofold. One, okay, I'm not saying, and Nick, I hope you can back me up in stating this as a fellow coach. When it comes to negative thoughts, no one's saying dismiss them, suppress them, or push them away. No one is saying that you can't talk to people and your friends, if you can't talk to the people in that theory of five or your village about what's really going on with you, and they're going to be like, well, you're just dragging us down or this or that, get some new people, okay? Because they should be in there advising you, guiding you, helping you, uplifting, supporting, listening, giving feedback, helping you out. I mean, they're not going to be carrying you, okay? You can't climb Everest on your hands and knees, and I tell you my clients this all the time, I can't carry you up this mountain, okay? And I'm not going to do it. You got to get up there and join me on the summit. So that's first and foremost. I think that's incredibly critical, okay? But two, sitting back and doing nothing. And action is action, okay? That's a decision, that's a choice, and it will leave you incredibly vulnerable where your thoughts are given prey. And what happens? What do you do when you're in a place where you just sit back and there's an action? Think about how you got there. And for me, what works for me is, and what produces punchy results is I shift. So if I'm too overly focused to the point where I know I'm getting impatient and it's detrimental, or you can't rush these people. I mean, for instance, you can't get into a king or president's face. Like, yeah, get into their face. Like, they've got everything in their hands. Like, you have to wait on certain things. Okay, redirect to this, redirect to that. Have multiple irons in the fire, have multiple trains leaving and coming into the station, and do not just do busy work for the sake of doing busy work to keep yourself busy. I think that works for a little bit. Go on a walk your dogs, do that gardening, go do martial arts like myself, go for a drive, get it out of your system, go, just chill, listen to some really amazing tunes, whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself into an aligned place. We start off with a breathing exercise, a grounding exercise. I do those kinds of PQ exercises throughout the day. Suggestions for you: break up your day and give yourself those times. But once again, do what you need to do for you, right? It's like what they say on airplanes, place an oxygen mask on yourself before helping others, right? You can't give the best of yourself to other people or other entities, or anyone for that matter, unless you're giving the best of yourself to yourself first. And that is the most productive thing you could do.
I want to enhance, add to, augment what you said, because there's a distinction that's created between talking about something and declaring it, right? So if you have your 5 people that you can talk about things with, you can talk about some really negative things without declaring them as your reality. Does that make sense? So you can go through a conversation, really look at it, analyze it, turn it around, discuss it, and then from that space make a declaration. And that could be in the positive or the negative. And so having that space where you can really talk openly about what's going on within you before making your declaration. Your declaration is, this is what I'm doing. This is how I see the world. This is how I'm creating it or destroying it. That declaration is what creates or destroys. The talking about it is kind of the creative process. You're still in that creative process. You haven't yet said, this is the way it is, and this is what I'm moving toward. There's no action in it. Not yet. So having that space where, like you mentioned, you've got these people that you feel comfortable and safe with, that you can really talk it through, and then together come to a declaration. There's a distinction there. I think it really needs to be emphasized, because talking about it and declaring it are 2 different things. You can talk about it without declaring it.
No, intention. I mean, because in my line of work and in my experience, and you guys can feel free to agree to disagree here, the way something starts is usually the way people feel like it's going to finish. And the way I approach that is, no. If it starts like that, we're reining in the brilliance. We're organizing. We're doing what needs to get done to avoid that outcome. But you have to be intentional with your outcomes. People always say, look, how can you say these things to these people? How are you able to speak your mind? I'm like, do you believe in what you're saying? Do you honestly think it's contributing to the conversation and to help build what we're doing? How can you sit there in silence? And that's my declaration to every conversation, into every project, into everything in my life. If I have a way to contribute, whether it's supporting whether it's being a resource, whether it's connecting people, whether it's just there for advice, or just being there, being quiet, sipping on something yummy with pineapple in it. That's what it is, right? So just think about that. Think about how you contribute. And from there, I promise you will feel the fire in the belly. When you know you're doing the right thing, you'll feel the fire in the belly and it will come out. It's when people feel like they don't have it where I find that most of it stems from. So get the fire in the belly. What revs you up? What gets you going? What makes you excited to the point where you can't sleep? That's the fire in the belly for you. What is that? It doesn't have to just be one thing. It can be several things. I mean, I'm sitting here doing it. Melissa's sitting here doing it. Nick and Ryan are sitting here doing it. We don't just have one thing that we're doing. Yeah, like rainbow storm. Right?
So there's a book that comes to mind as you're saying that. There's a book that I'm listening to called Existential Kink. I've mentioned it several times.
Yes.
And it talks about that we have that fire for some things that are negative, right? We still have it. We get off on, or we're turned on by this thing that is negative, and we're unconscious to it. And we're sitting there wondering, why do I keep doing this behavior over and over again? And what I hear in what you're saying is when you light that fire and you're conscious of it and you're putting it into things that you want to create, it can be very powerful. It doesn't mean that those things are negative and are going to harm you, but they can harm you long term. It's just there's something inside of you that loves that negativity. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep bringing it forward.
No, it's one of the ultimate human truisms, and I'll get philosophical right there with you, Nick. Sure. The fact that once again, humanity can't abide by stagnation. Our souls cry for uncertainty, even though we claim to hate it. But it's just a natural progression.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Some more than others, right?
Right. Definitely some more than others.
Yeah.
Through this whole thing too, like I started thinking about somebody that's created something big, or maybe had a big business and it came tumbling down, or had a goal, something that they achieved, and then they had to recreate themselves or redefine themselves, moving forward into something else. And when you've had this passion for something and then it's gone, or you lose it or something, that could seem a little bit insurmountable. But if you go back and listen to this, in a replay, the things that you guys talked about, you can find that new passion, that new drive, that new thing to move towards. There's always something. And if you've got so much talent and so much of you, who you are, if you just go out there and put one foot in front of the other and step towards it, man, you'll be surprised as heck of what you can create, the things that can happen, because somebody else is choosing not to do that, being apathetic. You might have, there's how many billions of people on the earth? There's a pretty good chance that somebody has had your idea, the same idea as you. There could be hundreds of them, millions of them that have had that same idea. But if you go start putting it into action and doing the things that Aashi, Nick, and Melissa talked about today, you will be the one that creates that thing. It'll come through you, and it'll come in through the way that it needs to, in its own unique way, because that's what the universe does.
Well, there's something in that too. Nobody else is the driver of your dream. Others will be involved in it, but nobody else gets to drive it like you do.
Right.
And too many of us sit back and wait for somebody to come rescue us. Nobody's coming. So you got to be the driver of your dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that you said that. You've got to get out and start talking to people, start asking, start letting your dreams be known. Aashi said that earlier too. If she hadn't spoken up, that opportunity wouldn't be in front of her.
You could be a janitor at NASA. It's a real thing. I didn't know that they did internships. I'm applying.
I know. It's legit. It's legit.
Okay, can I go
if
back
I can
and
do it? I can tell you everybody can do it. Okay.
I want to go back and say I want to be on the. You remember I Love Lucy when she was working in the chocolate factory with Ethel, and they couldn't eat, and they were eating the chocolates. Can I work on the chocolate line? Yeah.
All the kids at home just fell asleep.
Who? Okay. Yes, I dated myself. Okay, but the point is not that Melissa dated herself. The point is the chocolate factory. That's where I want to be. I want to be on the line in the chocolate factory so I can sample the chocolate.
I've
Never
tried
mind
dating-
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I've tried dating myself.
How'd that work out?
I don't like myself.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so horrible. There's never
Yeah.
been so much
He's
room,
so sweet
love in
and
a
a jerk at
room.
the same time.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
just
gosh.
Nick.
I'm
See,
confessing.
Ashley learned right before we got on air that Nick just knows how to go there every time.
Yeah.
All right, I'm being mindful of time. I'm looking at the time now, and I can't believe that it's that we're at time. That it's 2:00 already. That just flew right by. So I'm going to invite all of you to give us some last thoughts. Do you have any last thoughts for our viewers and our listeners before we go?
I'll go quick. I appreciate Aashi for taking the time, the listeners to be involved, and the comments on social media. You're all giants. Thank you for showing up. Go believe in yourself. Go make it happen. You are the driver of your bus. Boom.
I love it.
I love that. Ashi, do you have any final words for us?
I always love the comments. I always love the feedback. Tremendous audience participation today. So thrilled that I did not have you fall asleep at the wheel of this bus, right? And you know what? They are taking applications. So if you want to join me for a week of being a janitor, by all means, we could have lots of fun. I'm sure we'd look really silly. And no, we will not be allowed to be taking selfies. I already asked. They don't let you take your phone around.
I'm going to bring a big set of
FYI.
keys, even though they don't need keys.
Even though you don't need them, you're just going to hang them off. I love it. I think we should have
Tinkle.
the League of Giants week as janitors.
Space camp.
Yep, space camp. League
That
of
would be
Giants.
awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Space week.
Do a
yeah.
retreat around it. That would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
I love it.
Nick, do you have
I
any
love
final
it.
thoughts?
Well, no, I'm grateful. I do. I'm grateful for the insights here. Aashi, what you shared, it's relevant to me right now in my life. I go back and forth between that small self and giant self.
Mhm.
There are days that I just feel on top of the world. I'm in the rainbow storm, and there's days that I'm not. And so making that transition for me is really important, because there are times I feel like, a lot of entrepreneurs do, the imposter syndrome. And it's usually only if I'm in that negative space. And so what you've shared today is this idea that I have the power within me. I can make the transition on the bridge, and there's tools to do that. And it really is up to me to go lean on that. And I don't have to do it alone. There's people around me that I can lean on, like you're talking about, the five that I can lean on in cases like that, where I can say, look, this is what I'm experiencing. They can help me out, or I can serve somebody else, and that'll help me out. So that I just am grateful for you and your insights. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to say thank you to Aashi for being our special guest co-host today and imparting all of this wisdom on us. And, I'll say I'm grateful for all three of you for being so close to me and so close in my life and pulling me back into the rainbow storm when I've gone to the other side. And I won't say the words out loud. When I've gone to the other side.
He's Canadian. They don't do that.
I'm
the
too
other
polite.
side.
Yeah, I'm too polite. But no, I am grateful for all of the people that I have in my life that pull me back into the rainbow storm when I've headed that way myself. And I'll just, as a last note, I'll remind all of our listeners that we do go there. It happens to all of us. We all end up in that other storm on the other side of the rainbow, and we all have to pull back into the rainbow storm. It happens. It's an ongoing process. It's not one thing where you go, okay, I made it, and there you go, and it's smooth sailing. It happens to all of us. Reach out to someone if you need help to get to the other side and to follow your dreams. So thank you everyone for being here. I will let you all know. Thank you to all of our viewers, our listeners. And I'll let you all know that next week, our special guest co-host is going to be Viviana Puello, and she's going to be teaching us how to be a masterpiece and awaken to greatness. So I'm so excited about having Viviana next week. We thank Aashi for being with us here this week, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Sunday and a happy Father's Day.
Love you too.
Bye.